You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Trump's diaper nurse torn apart by critics, based on an article by Adam Lynch. Trump's aide is not the story, the regime is. The tabloid frame is the first dodge. The source story spotlights Natalie Harp, a young aide who appears everywhere Trump does, and turns that proximity into gossip, internet mockery, and speculation about whether she is some kind of nurse, caretaker, or cult household figure that is the weakest possible frame for what is actually being described. The meaningful fact is not that a loyal aide stands close to an aging president. The meaningful fact is that Trump's operation is built around personal attachment, private access, and emotional dependence instead of institutional competence. The celebrity gossip is the smokescreen. The machine underneath is the story. Power sits with Trump, not the aide orbiting him. Institutional power has not shifted to Harp. It remains concentrated in Trump. She is valuable because she is trusted, visibly loyal, and embedded in his daily life. That is how personalist politics works. Power does not always look like formal authority. Sometimes it looks like the person who can get through the door. The source notes that a book by Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan describes Harp leaving personal notes for Trump and Trump reportedly saying she will never leave me. That is not normal staff culture. It is an admission of dependency. In a healthy administration, access is earned through responsibility and structure. In Trump's world, it is earned through devotion. What the article obscures, the piece gestures at Trump's age, his mumbling and rambling, and the scrutiny over Harp's role, but then drifts into body jokes and internet theater. That is a misdirection. The underlying issue is not whether Harp is a diaper nurse or a hospice nurse. Snopes can debunk the fantasy, but the larger problem survives the rumor mill. The real question is why a president allegedly in visible decline is surrounded by a circle organized around loyalty, ritual, and constant accompaniment. The answer is not mysterious. Trump rewards personal fidelity because it protects him from accountability. That is how he preserves control, not by building a competent state, but by surrounding himself with people who need him more than the job. Loyalty replaces governance. The source mentions Harp following Trump to nearly every event, even running behind his golf cart in the interregnum period before the campaign. That detail matters because it is a portrait of the system, not the personality. This is not staff support in the ordinary sense. It is theater of submission. It signals to everyone else in the room that proximity to Trump is political currency, and that the currency is loyalty, not expertise. The result is an administration that functions less like a public institution and more like a private court. That is why these stories keep collapsing into absurdity. When power is organized around one man's emotional needs, the surrounding people stop looking like officials and start looking like attendants. The structure invites ridicule because it is already degrading itself. The cruelty is part of the brand. There is also a darker pattern here. The source mentions Trump standing awkwardly near the Spain team during the World Cup trophy moment, as well as the broader fixation on his age and physical decline. That public discomfort is not incidental. Trump's politics has always depended on dominance display, image control, and humiliation of anyone who appears weak. Now the image is reversed. The strongman is aging, wobbling, and visibly dependent on a loyal aide who shadows him everywhere. The movement that sold itself as virile authority is increasingly reduced to a pageant of denial. Supporters are asked to laugh off the obvious. Critics are dragged into speculation about diapers and nurses because spectacle is easier to sell than structural decay. That is the misdirection at work. Turn a governance problem into a body joke, and the public is less likely to ask who is actually running the place. The larger pattern. This story is not about one aide with too much access. It is about the logic of personalist rule. In Trump's orbit, power is accumulated through devotion, insulated by intimacy, and defended by ridicule. The institution becomes secondary to the relationship. The presidency becomes a loyalty test. And when the office is organized this way, decline is not corrected. It is hidden, managed, and surrounded by attendants who exist to keep the performance going. That is the real scandal, not that Harp is close to Trump. It is that this kind of closeness has become the operating system of the American right. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Alternet for today's article with the automated voice of Kristen. Thanks for listening.